Bim! Bim, 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 bim. Guess what? It's what a week that was. And it's the 15th of July 2023, and it's wet and windy again, like it was last week. And we're here to talk about the news. There's quite a lot going on this week. Apparently I'm online. Who knew? Oh yeah, me. Because I don't know why it tells me I'm online. It's really weird. Anyway, yeah, we're live. I'm live, and it's a Saturday night. Well, I had 2 sips of Guinness and I'm already away. And what a week it's been to be a newsreader, eh? Anyway, more of that later. We will be looking at the bit of the NATO Summit, the weather, and the usual USA and Australian stuff, and then we'll end on the funny stuffs at the end. Hi Smiley Mac, hope you're good. I'm alive too. Yes, good. Well, that reminds me actually. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Luke Williams, evening. So we're getting the chat room filling up nicely. Hope you're good. And we will get underway. So, Sunday is the first day of this week, because that's the way we work here. And it's all about the BBC at the beginning of the week. Usually is, to be fair. But this time it was, who is the mystery presenter? Who is the person who has allegedly, possibly, been doing naughty things with young men? Apparently, the presenter made a panic call to get the family not to run the story, but we didn't know quite who it was or what was going on. Tragic circumstances. We lost another 8-year-old girl at the after the aftermath of the crash at the prep school in Wimbledon earlier on in the week. And I love Guess Who. And there's, I nearly said Bill Clinton then, Joe Biden, coming down the stairs of Air Force One as he landed in the United Kingdom on a whistle-stop tour. More of that in a little bit, but funnily enough, the sign behind him on the stairs says "Watch your step," obviously for him because he has a habit of falling down them on a regular basis, don't we all? Well, when I've had too many sherbets maybe, but the rest of the time maybe not. Monday came along, as a habit doing that after Sunday, and we progressed in the news to talking about the BBC, and it seems that the young man now says that nothing happened, and the family lied, and the family say that the BBC and him are lying too. So the whole thing is getting completely muddled, and we still have no idea whom it is, although Gary Lineker, Ryland Clark and Jeremy Vine all public stated it was not them. It wasn't me. You got me in the phone booth. It wasn't me. Anyway, turned out it wasn't. Anyway, more of that later. A teenager is arrested and charged with attempted murder of a teacher in Tewkesbury Academy School. Panic-stricken families went to make sure their children were okay. Thankfully they were. BBCing children younger than him. Yes, indeed. Whoever he was, we didn't know at this point. But yeah, there was a stabbing in a school, academy school in Tewkesbury. Meanwhile, Turkey, not one of my favourite countries, well, not one of my favourite presidents, it's fair to say, have agreed that Sweden can join NATO, which is something they weren't backing at one point. I wasn't even aware that Turkey was in NATO, so I'm like, what's it going to do with them? But yeah, they are. Meanwhile, Biden's visit continued. He met Rishi Sunak, who almost looks the same size of him now, which is a bit weird. And he also had a look at a load of men with funny hats on, which of course is the Guard of Honour at where was it? Westminster? Not Westminster. Windsor. With King Charles III. Trolls 3 sequel, and yeah, he looked at a lot of men. I wonder if someone else would have been more interested in doing that. Yeah, we don't know yet though. We'll find out. We'll find out. We'll find out. Anyway, next came Wednesday. Now Wednesday is an interesting day because on Wednesday, it's not. It's Tuesday, isn't it? Oh no! I missed out Tuesday because I don't like Tuesdays. Tell me why I don't like Tuesdays. Tell me why I don't like Tuesdays. Tell me why I don't like Tuesdays. More claims at the BBC over the incidents with the yet unnamed presenter. The Met Police started looking into it to see if any crimes had been committed. So pressure was mounting on the BBC on Tuesday regarding this situation. Meanwhile, Zelensky went to the NATO Summit, which is where Biden was going. He was only pretending. Yum Turkey, it's a few months early though. Oh, very good. Smell me. Yeah, Zelensky went to Lithuania capital and he asked to join NATO. No timetable available because you can't join NATO if you're at war, which I thought would be pretty damned obvious. Meanwhile, the teacher who was stabbed, picture emerges of him. Very young guy. I thought when I first saw this picture it was the lad who'd actually done the stabbing, but that's actually the teacher. I must be getting old when the teachers look as young as the students. Anyway, he's been charged with various offences. Not this guy, the child with the knife, and it's good. It looked like they're about to kiss. It started with a kiss. How did it end up like this? Yeah, they are doing that tilt your head thing in. It's not something I'm over familiar with because kissing involves touching people and I don't like that kind of thing. It irritates me immensely. Anyway, sorry. That's why it cut me on air, that's why it looks so crap. Wednesday, finally. I've been waiting for it all week. Some of us have thought it was already here, but it was, because now it was Wednesday. And the wife of the presenter named her husband as the person involved in the scandal rocking the BBC. And it is Huw Edwards, who is the anchor for News at 10. And I don't know whether I said it on this show last week, Huw Edwards hasn't been around for a while. I wonder if it's him or words to that effect, or whether I just did it when I was talking to someone in the shop. But either way, I named Huw Edwards at the beginning of the week, but more of as a joke thing, not an actual true thing. Anyway, the stress has proved too much for him. Apparently, I didn't know this, but he's had a lot of mental health issues and depression and things like that, and he's ended up in the hospital in an area that's trying to help him with his mental health, which is an awful thing to happen to someone. The police say that no action is required because no laws were broken that they could see, and the Sun decided to stop the story, which then raises questions of why they raised it in the first place. If someone's doing something that's not illegal, is it really anyone's interest other than that? I don't actually really see why we need to know about people's sex life if there's nothing illegal going on. It just seems a bit, I don't know, dull, boring, uninteresting. If the teacher was charged for being stabbed, we'd need to ask how our legal system works. No idea who he is, but I avoid the BBC. Ooh, the Sun, yeah, exactly. It's the Sun, who are not the most popular of newspapers anywhere in the world. In fact, in Liverpool, the Sun is actively, well, you may get certainly verbal abuse if you walk around with a copy of the Sun in Liverpool, because their journalism is a little bit questionable at times. But yeah, it's things like this in the public interest. Yeah, okay, it was a younger boy that he was getting pictures from, but if the police say nothing happened, then Is it really a story? I don't know. I just think there are more important things to worry about. You know, like a little thing of a war in Ukraine. However, our cabinet minister, and I think he's the guy who looks after the army, says that UK defence is not an Amazon weapons delivery service, or worse to that effect, which I found rather disgusting and distasteful. But Zelensky was in the NATO Summit. He was asking for a few more weapons, and it was 500 days since the invasion of his country. Obviously, illegal invasion. Meanwhile, if you have a mortgage, over 2 million people in the UK, their mortgages will be going up by over £500 a month, because a lot of fixed rates mortgages, where you pay the same price for years and years and years, are coming to an end. We've had a lot of increases in the mortgage rate in between, but they've not been affected. And then all of a sudden, wallop, they get it in one go, which is why I've always gone for a mortgage rate that changes, so you get used to the increments of it improving, not improving, getting bigger or getting smaller, rather than just happening in one fell chop. I mean, presenter having a relationship immorally but not illegally, or war in Ukraine. Always the presenter. Oh, Smiley Mac, what you like. But yeah, a lot of households are going to be suffering, particularly the middle class, because their mortgages are higher. And obviously, percentage-wise, the higher your mortgage, the more money you pay. So therefore, when the percentage goes up, that is more money than someone who's got a smaller mortgage. So yeah, pretty horrendous. And my mortgage has gone up by over £200 a month in the last few months. So yeah, it's not good for anyone at the moment. Anyway, Thursday, and possibly the end in sight of strikes in the public sector. Rishi Sunak basically said that he's going to offer everyone who works for the government a pay rise between 5 and 7%, and some people would be getting a £1,000 bonus as well, which works out in some cases of an extra half or 1% of their earnings in the year, which I don't think is particularly bad under the current circumstances. But of course, the junior doctors who've got the morals of Just Stop Oil are saying, no, we want 35% pay rise, otherwise we're just going to keep going on strike. I'm like, okay then, go on strike, because you ain't getting 35% off the Tories, and you ain't getting 35% off Labour if they're getting as well. So basically, you're just going to be losing money hand over fist by doing all these strikes. You'll be losing the public trust, like Just Stop Oil have been doing, and you are basically no better than Just Stop Oil. Just annoying brats. The leader of them looks like he's fresh out of university, still wet behind the ears. Yeah, absolute joke, the Junior Doctors Union. Every other union has pretty much advised their people to go for it, so the majority of strikes should be over, but no doubt they'll be starting again over the next pay deal for next year, but we'll worry about that then. The doctor strike will probably still be on. They actually get the increase anyway, even if they are on strike, so yeah, it's all very weird. Meanwhile, we are freezing up here. There's forecasting a thunderstorm. It's very windy, the trees are going like that outside the window, and it's just not very pleasant. However, in Europe, Southern Europe, and America, and various other places as well, it is ridiculously hot. It's always hotter, nearer the equator, obviously, but it's breaking all records at the moment. There are some places that are getting on to 60 degrees centigrade at ground level. That's not the air temperature, that's the ground temperature, which to be fair is always higher than air temperature. And I remember the last few years we've had 30 degrees quite regularly, and that's like enough for me, but I don't like it when it's like these. Just Stop Oil, or worse, though, these doctors at least don't at least know not to glue themselves to the ground. That's true, and if they do glue themselves to the ground, at least they know how to get the glue off as well, because they've been trained on that, which is nice. But no, they're just whinging, moaning. We want more money when there's a worldwide financial crisis going on. It's like, sod off, go away. ship people in from somewhere else and get them to do it. Scrap minimum wage. No, I'm joking. You can imagine going to hospital and it's someone who's just kind of flown in from trying to find a non-offensive country, Finland. You can't get offended by Finland. So you got this Finnish doctor who's no, he doesn't really know anything about being a doctor. He's just come over because the NHS is a bit short-staffed. Yeah, no, that wouldn't be good. But temperature-wise, worldwide, it's shocking, really, really bad. And it, perceived global warming again. Whether it's true or not, we don't know. Will we ever know? Well, I won't, because I'll be dead by the time they figure it out. Mind you, we all might be. So yeah, that's a cheery thought. Happy Friday, even though it's Sunday. Talking of Friday, Hollywood shuts down. That isn't Hollywood, that's actually London. And a lot of the actors have now joined the strike that the writers have been joining, and the actors are scared or worried that they're not getting paid for streaming services. So for example, in the older days, their contracts basically said you get X amounts, and then some of the contracts said you get plus Y amount for good box office. So for example, you're in a movie that that breaks box office records, instead of getting your basic fee, you would get a bonus on top of that, because this one's done really well, so we're going to give you some more, and that way you might do a sequel. And then if it comes out on DVD, which they generally do, they get a fraction of the cut of that as well. So you kind of get 3 lots of pay if it does well, this movie. But now they're all saying, well, these things were written and agreed years ago before streaming services. So we're getting people watching these movies online, be it legally or illegally, although I imagine illegally there's not a lot they can do. But legally, they are watching, people are watching these movies, and these people are not getting any recompense for all the effort and time that they put into these movies. Therefore, they're joining the strike. And the other thing is AI. There's been a bit of AI work on Fast and the Furious, or certainly CGI stuff with Paul Walker, who passed away a few years ago, who's still in the movies. His brother acts the part out, and then they CGI the face or do something. I've not seen it. And they he's still kind of in the movie, even though he's dead. And these people are saying, AI carries on the way it's doing, you won't need us at all in the movies, so we don't want you using our images and voices in movies where we're not getting paid for it. So if you're going to AI us, then we want a recompense for that as well. So basically they'll get paid for a character just being them in a movie where they don't have to do anything, not even the voice or turn up. But it is a weird one. But the Hollywood strikes have happened before. I remember them, decades ago, and I don't know really what the outcome was, because, well, I wasn't interested. And to be fair, I'm not that interested now either. When do video and game or shop owners strike? When the boss doesn't pay him enough. Did he give permission for that before he died? I don't think he did, to be fair. I hope that they asked the family, because that would freak you out, wouldn't it, if they didn't ask the family. But yeah, it is very, very peculiar. Meanwhile, in India, they've launched a spectacular looking rocket. I'll be honest with you, it does look the dog's dangly bits, or should I say the cow's dangly bits, because obviously it's Indian. And they're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on this rocket and other rockets to send them to the moon, so that they can be only the 4th country ever to put something on the moon, after America, Russia, China. And these people, these Indians, are thinking, right, we'll be next, we're going to get this to land on the moon, and then if it works and we get it back again in one piece, we can send our astronauts to the moon, and they can maybe set up a station thing up there, or whatever everyone else is trying to do. The only problem is it's India. And how many people in India are on the breadline, or even lower than that, and starving to death? It is not a rich country. Why is a country like India spending all this fucking money on rockets when the infrastructure, the hospitals, the roads, just people's welfare, just making food for all the populations. It's one of the most populous countries in the world. I think at some point it's going to overtake China, I think, because China's population is falling at the moment. So India's population, I think it's India's, could overtake China. And all they're doing is sending rockets to the moon. You know, we take the mickey out of Kim Jong-un sending all these rockets into the sea around North Korea. But people seem to be okay with India sending rockets to the moon, and I'm like, it's not okay. If their people were being looked after and they had a good infrastructure and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, fair enough, you've got some spare money, chuck it at that. But I think it's more important that the Indian government spend the money that they've got on the majority of the Indian people, rather than a few people just for kudos points and patting themselves on the back. It's no different to me as Kim Jong-un, who's letting his people starve whilst he fires rockets towards Japan and South Korea. If someone can tell me what the difference is, then we will we'll listen to you, because we need to know these things, he says. Right, where are we up to? Oh yeah, that was Friday. India should send Kim to the moon. Oh, moo. Such a bad joke. Yes, he's gone to the moon. Yeah, okay. God, this is what I have to put up with every week. Saturday. It's Saturday. It is. Today is Saturday. And a couple of items of news today. One is that the temperatures around Europe are at record heights. They're even hotter than what they were a few days earlier. Global warming, yes, it's definitely a thing. Just Stop Oil saying Britain should stop using oil immediately is complete nonsense, because our country is dwarfed by all these other countries and Europe and everything else, and no matter what we do, it's not going to make any difference. So Just Stop Oil people should all be rounded up, put on a plane and sent to Beijing, and then they can jump off the plane in Beijing, and then they can go to the Beijing Parliament, or the Chinese Parliament, and say, just stop oil, and all that kind of thing, and then we'll see how the Chinese react. And then once they finish there, assuming they're still able to, they can get on a plane and fly to Russia, and they can do the same again, and then they can fly over to America. And I suggest they probably go to Texas or somewhere like that to make the point, and see how they get on there as well. And then any who do come back, we'll then do them for using too much fuel in aeroplanes just to have a jolly going around the world to protest. And as someone pointed out recently, a lot of the banners they're using when they're doing the Just Stop Oil protests are made of plastic, and plastic is made of oil. They also interrupted. I watched The Last Leg on Channel 4. They interrupted that last night. Not overly, but yeah, they did. They also did the proms at the Royal Albert Hall, and then they've done various other sporting events again, and they'd just be, as far as I'm concerned, just shipped away somewhere else where we don't have to worry about them. Vaping, back in the news again. Councils are saying now that they want throwaway vapes to be banned, so you only have the ones that you can take apart and you fill up with liquid and all that kind of stuff, which makes perfect sense to me. What doesn't make perfect sense to me is why we're allowing vapes with flavours like bubblegum and candy floss and that kind of thing. The only way to stop kids vaping is to just do the flavour of cigarettes in a vape. Whatever the flavour of a cigarette is, that is it. That's all you get in vapes. You don't get any other flavour whatsoever. So people who are giving up smoking will smoke a vape. They won't notice the difference. Fair enough. It probably will help them give up smoking. But making them into nice flavours and things like that, and you're buying like 5 of them for £1 off the market. Obviously it's not that cheap, but it might as well be. You don't know what's in them things. You don't know what chemicals you're putting in your lungs. It's an absolute joke. So just banned a lot of them. The shop in Wigan actually has been shut down, and I can only assume it's because it's known by everyone to be selling vapes to school children. And how do we know the school children? Because they're in the uniforms going in and coming out with vapes. They might take the tie off, but that's about as far as it goes. And then there's always shed loads of teenagers stood outside. waiting for the mates to go in and get served, and that's abhorrent as well. So that, thankfully, finally, the council have done something about it. I mean, I would never report anyone for doing anything like that. I think that's up to the authorities to actually do what they're paid to do, because that's what they are paid to do. Anyway, these things, absolute disgrace and should be banned. I like records, but they like rules. We shouldn't break them. I'm starting a new group. It's called Let's Carry On With Oil. Who wants to join? Let's carry on with oil. Wearing such a good disguise. A tie covers everything. It does, but when you take it off, you don't know who you are. Even in elder and yes, vapes are so wrong, definitely aimed at children. Yeah, so just, you don't have bubblegum flavoured cigarettes. You don't have raspberry flavoured cigarettes. You don't have candy floss flavoured cigarettes. So why the fuck have we got vapes flavoured like that? Vape should be just a really boring flavour of a cigarette, or no flavour whatsoever, and the novelty will wear off. Oh right, oh dear, fur baby. That's not good. So yeah, hi Annie, hi Angela. And then finally, in the weekly news, South Korea. The leader of South Korea has gone to Kyiv to meet up with Vladimir Zelensky, and not Vladimir. So oh God, I'm doing the same thing as the bloody what's he called? Biden did. Oh no. Anyway, so President Zelensky. It's Vladimir, isn't it? Zelensky, and he said now, South Korea will not give weapons to North Korea, even though they've got one of the largest stockpiles in the world, because obviously they're right next door to North Korea. But I think there's a few rules that they have in their constitution where they can't give weapons to other countries, and obviously if they start giving weapons to other countries, then Kim Jong-un might think, oh, they haven't got any weapons anymore, so let's invade them. So it kind of makes sense. But what they are giving is really good high quality bulletproof vests, hats, not just hats like, Kiss Me Quick, nothing like that, a proper, helmet thing, bulletproof helmet, safety equipment, and they're also sending over mine clearing vehicles and various other bits and pieces as well. So it's not actual weapons, but it's stuff that will help the army and hopefully save a lot of the Ukrainian army from injury. And yeah, that is the news from the UK, but it doesn't matter because they can't give them, but they could let Ukrainians steal them. Is it? Yeah, they'd have to go through China and North Korea to get to them. Might be a bit of a problem. Smidge. Anyway, that's it for that news, but it doesn't matter because we've now got Angela's favourite bit. That's why she's turned up now. She loves that. She loves the American stuff. Oh, can you please say why we let our kids shoot each other? We are Americans and we love it. Feeding babies, battery time, indeed. If you don't know what we're talking about, one of the first stories we covered when we started covering America was parents being told not to let their babies eat the little disc batteries like the 2032s and the 2025 batteries, the flat disc ones. Don't let your children eat them because they will kill the children, and they had to be told. Anyway, first up in America is we thought it was just in the UK. But no, I need to move myself across a bit, don't I? Oh, there we go. Over half of American beaches are covered in poop and unsafe to swim in. Now this sounds vaguely familiar if you're in the UK, because, well, yeah, it's pretty much the same as what we've got. More than half the nation's beaches are contaminated with poop and sewage, making their waters unsafe to swim in, according to a shocking report by Environment America. The group found 55% of more than 3,100 beaches it tested had at least one day where fecal contamination reached potentially unsafe levels. Yeah, I mean, there's probably less excuse for the Americans to be doing this because their country is bigger, so how the hell has it ended up in the middle of the sea? United Utilities have branched out to the US. Either that or they've just built a massive long pipe that just pops up near the American coast. Make sure it won't come back over. But yeah, don't go beaches in America. Heavy rain in southern Japan leaves up to 6 dead and 3 missing. Japan and various other countries around the world, including the UK to a lesser extent, have got massive problems with the rain. We've looked at the heat that's been going on, but rain as well is causing massive issues and people dying pretty much everywhere. Torrential rain over Japan's southwestern island of Kyushu triggered floods and landslides that left up to 6 people dead and rescuers searching for 3 missing. The Japan Meteorological Agency downgraded the special warnings for heavy rain issued for northern parts of the island to low-level warnings and advisories. But yeah, many prefectures in Japan have been affected by amazing amounts of rain. Key parts of healthy diet: meats, veg, starchy food, dairy and batteries. My diet is meats at the moment, bit starchy food, but no batteries, no dairy, no veg. Except for that when I did that cooking the other week, when I had the massive bit of broccoli. I like broccoli. Meanwhile in Iceland, Icelandic volcano erupts for 3rd year in a row after thousands of earthquakes. A volcano in the Reykjanes Peninsula in Iceland began erupting following a 6-day period where more than 4,700 earthquakes were recorded. Not all the earthquakes were massive earthquakes, but I mean, I suppose they're used to it in Iceland. It's just like, you could probably tell, even if you laid in bed, oh yeah, this is a 1.3 magnitude earthquake, or this is a 0.2 magnitude earthquake. Why can't they put the people on lower land? Well, that's where the water goes. It's probably more dangerous there. But yeah, but people have always settled near running water because it's fresh. That's why the majority of towns and cities are on rivers, because when the Romans or the Anglo-Saxons or whoever else invaded the UK and went to various other countries, set up camp and encampments and villages and towns, you needed water. And lakes and things like that, the water is not fresh, whereas a river going past is as fresh as it can get. So that's why they're always built on rivers, and rivers go downhill. So a lot of towns and things are built on hills rather than in the valleys. I don't know why they don't just put the volcanoes out with one of them helicopters with a bucket in it, or just concrete over the top. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why no one's thought of that before. Let's cap a volcano. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Oh, you're so funny. This next story, I read this and I thought, this can't be right. This genuinely cannot be right. I mean, what is wrong with people? Who goes and does this? But apparently, that many people, they've had to put up a sign. Yes, Smiley Mac, exactly. You're right. To be fair, the concrete would just melt, because the concrete isn't as strong, as hard as rock anyway. Toronto Zoo urges visitors to quit showing mobile phone videos to gorillas. The Toronto Zoo is urging visitors to stop showing gorillas cell phone videos, as some of the unmoderated content could be upsetting and even addictive to the primates. We just want the gorillas to be able to be gorillas. Well, they're in a fucking zoo. They're not being gorillas. They're being captive animals. For a start, you're already up on that one. Behavioural husbandry supervisor Holly Ross said, and when our guests come in to the zoo, we want them to be able to see what the gorillas are in a very natural state. But they're not in a natural state. They're in a fucking cage. I mean, come on. Anyway, the sign says, for the well-being of Gorilla Troop, please refrain from showing them any videos or photos, as some content can be upsetting and affect their relationships and behaviour with their families. So you show a video of, this is Uncle Brian in Africa, and he's having it away with the with the head woman gorilla of the next troop, and then the gorilla in the cage just has a nervous breakdown because, oh my god, Uncle, he's done that, he's left me auntie, and I can't do anything because I'm stuck here in Canada. But yeah. Hello, gorilla. Look at these freedoms. This freedom that you can't have. Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's bonkers. But then, that you have people training gorillas and chimpanzees to count numbers. When they have that screen and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they get a little peanut or something as a reward and do it again. I mean, if that's not affecting the behaviour, I don't know what is. Mind you, at least we don't strap them into oil canisters and send them into space and let them die up there, do we? Like we used to do in the 50s. So things have got better. Anyway, digress. Drone video shows disastrous flooding in Ludlow after torrential rain hits Vermont. So Vermont is another area where there's been an absolutely huge amount of rain falling, which is what we've had recently as well, but not to this level. A drone video from Ludlow. I've been to a place called Ludlow in the UK. It was very nice. I'm sure this isn't as nice because it'll be a lot younger. Shows the floodwater turning roads into rivers. Cars were abandoned as water rushed through the streets. Ludlow recorded just over 5.5 inches of rain in one day. They can count better than me. They can count quicker than me on a screen like that. Because you just go, but they're not even looking, just go, and it's random where it comes up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you get quicker because there's fewer numbers to look at. Anyway, I'm not an F1 driver. I'm dare say they could do it quick. Vladimir Putin's luxurious 22-car ghost train seen in newly leaked images. New released images have offered a glimpse of the lavish interior of the 22-car ghost train Russian President Vladimir Putin uses to traverse his country in comfort and secrecy. The train's features include a fully equipped gym or sports health wagon, a skincare and massage parlour with anti-aging machines, a tiled and fully equipped Turkish bath steam room, along with lush bedrooms and ornate dining. So basically, he's got the Orient Express, but the 21st century version of the Orient Express. It's a ghost train because everyone goes on it but then becomes a ghost. Yeah, that is true. More of that in a bit, funnily enough. Not the train, but the ghosting bit. Logan Paul's Prime Energy drink put kids' hearts at risk with caffeine. No shit, Sherlock. At the conclusion of her 10-year-old son's soccer match, Jennifer Temple handed the kid a $5 for a drink. He came back with a bottle of Prime Hydration, made by the same brand that produces Prime Energy, the drink promoted by influencer turned wrestler Logan Paul and YouTuber KSI. But the energy drink has a whopping 200 milligrams of caffeine per bottle, which is a hell of a lot. And yes, drinking that much caffeine will kill you. I know people who've been off substances. But yeah, they should be selling it to kids, should they? And in the UK now, if you try and buy Lucozade, you have to prove that you're over 16. I mean, obviously, I have to prove I'm over 16 because I look so young for my age. But yeah, they generally do. A 17-year-old girl shot by stray bullets at New York City Park. So it's okay because it was a stray bullet, it wasn't intended for her, so it's just one of them things, isn't it? This is the new thing that they've been coming on for the last few weeks. People shooting stray bullet. Like, stray bullet excuses it. It doesn't. America, sort your gun laws out. This is normally where Jay Morris pops up. A 17-year-old girl was struck by a stray bullet inside a Bronx park. The teenager was inside Grant Park at 10:50 p.m. Why you're in a park at 10:50 p.m. I have no idea. When she was hit in the torso by a round apparently intended for someone else, according to the cops and sources. She was taken to Lincoln Medical Center where she was listed in a stable condition. The teen told cops she had heard shots being fired, saw sparks, and then felt pain. Yeah. We've gone so far without shooting. What an amazing week. Yep, too soon. This is a weird story as well. Rattlesnake. A rattlesnake has life-saving surgery after swallowing mouse in mouse trap. Now, remember a few weeks ago in my And Finally bits, there was a picture of the world's laziest mouse, and it was stood there very proudly holding a mouse in its mouth, but the back end of a mouse in its mouth, but the front end of the mouse was in a mouse trap, and the mouse trap was hanging underneath it as well, and it was looking really proud. Well, obviously this rattlesnake must have thought that was a good idea, so its eyes were bigger than its brain. A New Mexico rattlesnake was left looking a bit more rectangular than usual after the reptile swallowed a mouse while it was still in a mouse trap. When you think you could have seen it all, an Animal Rescue Service personnel member said. It's food, isn't it, I suppose, and they don't know how to disarm. Maybe we should teach rattlesnakes how to disarm, how to get the mouse out of the mouse trap. Although the mouse would sooner learn how to get a mouse out of a rattlesnake, I suppose. Anyway, South Carolina boy hospitalised after drinking too much water. Now, I've heard about this before. You can drink too much water and it basically washes out all the minerals that you need, and it can be very, very serious for you. Mouse in a trap, basically a burger. Yes, very good, Smiley Mac. A South Carolina boy had to be hospitalised after developing a potentially deadly condition from guzzling 6 bottles of water in an hour. Ray Jordan, I assume that's him, 10, chugged the overwhelming amount of fluids whilst playing outside in Columbia during the 4th of July weekend. He ran outside with his cousins and started playing. They were full throttle running circles around the house. And obviously you keep him hydrated, you keep giving him bottles of water and all that, but he's only 10, he's only little. So 10 bottles of water, I imagine he was attached to the toilet for a considerable length of time, and it just cleans your entire system out. I mean, I've done it where you go for a pee and you look in the toilet bowl and it's like, oh, that's a bit dark, I must be dehydrated, so you drink water. And I've done that where I've got to the stage where when I go to the toilet and have a pee, the water is completely clear, and then I stop drinking water. Go back to the Guinness. I'm joking, but it's not good at all. I mean, another way too much water can be bad for you is if you drown in it. But I mean, that's another story. Titan sub-victims likely realised their fate between 48 to 71 seconds before their deaths. The 5 people who perished aboard the Ocean Gate submersible were likely aware of their impending implosion between 48 and 71 seconds before it occurred. The experts likened the scene to a horror movie. It's a Spanish engineer. What he knows, I don't know. I would sooner think that it was just instant and they died instantly and didn't know what was going to happen, because knowing that and there's nothing you can do about it and you're going to die would be horrible. And again, too much water. Pressure. See? Water's dangerous. Johannesburg gets first snowfall in more than a decade. Who says the world's weather isn't screwed up? Johannesburg, South Africa, was treated to a rare dusting of snow, the city's first in more than 10 years. The unexpected winter wonderland was part of a patch of snow that covered various provinces. So yeah. Yeah, I'd rather not know as well, any. I'd just be like, yeah, buff, gone. Las Vegas toddler dies after accidentally shooting himself. How? A Las Vegas family is mourning after a toddler accidentally fatally shot himself at a caregiver's home over the weekend. The 2-year-old fired the gun at himself in the bedroom of a home near Nellis Air Force Base. The boy was transported to the University Medical Center where he's pronounced dead. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is currently investigating the incident for possible law breaking. Yeah, you've let a loaded gun somewhere where a 2-year-old can pick it up and play with it and then blow their head off. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Drowning is more about air than water itself. That is, yeah, I suppose, lack of. Artemis. Meanwhile, a mum of young boys hit by a stray bullet in New York City shooting says she's scared to leave the house. It's completely changed me. Well, it would be if your two lads get shot. A pregnant mum of two young boys hit by stray bullets outside a Bronx park said the senseless daylight shooting has completely changed her and now has her afraid of even leaving her apartment. Norma Solis, 32, said she was walking to the grocery store and the bank with her sons Dylan, 6, and Diego, 3, and crossing a street when they were hit. Thankfully, not life-changing injuries or life-threatening injuries, but yeah, stray bullet, so it's fine, apparently. A man killed, 2 others hurt in overnight New York City shootings. A man was killed and 2 others hurt in a trio of shootings in the Big Apple overnight, police said. The fatal shooting of a 26-year-old man was blasted in the chest on 7th Avenue around 9:45 p.m, possibly during an argument. Someone then drove the victim all the way to Bellevue Hospital in Kips Bay, where he was pronounced dead. And they were trying to find the person who's took him there, because they wondered, well, there'll be a witness, at the very least a witness, so they're saying look out for a black Mercedes-Benz. We don't have to do that because we don't live in America, so don't think you see a black Mercedes-Benz has got anything to do with it. It probably hasn't. Poor baby, a totally casual shooting mill sums it up really. Yes, exactly, Annie. Maybe don't leave your gun somewhere toddlers can have the gun if it's not loaded. Sort your guns out, daylight shooting happened to my kids. I'm unaffected, I'll happily walk outside again. America, sort your guns out. Exactly, yeah, you've got to be affected, haven't you? I assume that was sarcasm. Biden, yay! Biden mocks press, said Ukraine will join NATO an hour and 20 minutes after the war. This is at Vilnius in Lithuania. President Biden ridiculed a reporter by saying that Ukraine would join NATO an hour and 20 minutes after the end of its war with Russia, and mockingly calling the question really insightful. Biden bristled at an American journalist at the conclusion of his meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during the annual NATO Summit in Lithuania's capital. I mean, yeah, some journalists do have ask some really ridiculously stupid questions. But that's their job, innit? A congressman issued grim warning after viewing classified UFO footage. Could Earth turn to charcoal? Well, no. If it does, it's global warming or nuclear war. It won't be aliens. A Tennessee lawmaker issued a dire warning after claiming to have seen classified UFO footage that hasn't been released to the public. Republican Tom Burchett speculated extraterrestrial life forms could have technology that humanity can't handle during an appearance on the Event Horizon podcast. Yeah, absolute nonsense. Why these people in Congress? Why these people in the equivalent of Parliament? I mean, mind you, look at some councillors, to be fair. 8-year-old arrested in Alabama for stealing car at gunpoint. What? A police chase ensued, obviously. An 8-year-old boy has been arrested in Alabama for allegedly stealing a car at gunpoint and then leading authorities on a chase. The young boy, who has not been named publicly, allegedly carjacked an adult at gunpoint at 11 a.m. The child refused to pull over for the police. I mean, how the can a child 8 reach the pedals? I know in America they have to keep it simple so they don't have gear sticks or anything like that, or gear shift if you're American, because you can't cope with changing gears whilst driving a vehicle, swigging a beer, shooting someone that you don't like while you're driving, and obviously avoiding other things. But yeah, an 8-year-old stole a car at gunpoint. America, for fuck's sake. Sort your gun laws out. I mean, I suppose we should be lucky that the kid didn't shoot anyone. Anyway, Harry and Meghan know they've gone too far in Royals' attack. Really? Really? Is that because everyone in the world hates them now? Possibly. I mean, I'm not a royalist by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't have a big family. But I think personal issues that you have in family should remain in the family. And this is just beyond a joke, what they've been doing. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle shocked the world in 2020 when they decided to take a step back as senior members of the royal family. Since making the big Megxit, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex released a slew of projects that they disdainfully discussed their time in the firm. But it now seems that these two may be regretting that because no one likes them anymore. Yeah, like I've said many times before, Meghan Markle is the Yoko Ono of the royal family. Stealing a car at 8. Yep, no way. Imagine getting carjacked by an 8-year-old. Proper confidence knocker. Absolutely. Yeah, you wouldn't admit to it, would you? Yeah, I was the person who had my car stolen by an 8-year-old with a gun. Texas woman shot in the head and killed after husband flips off an erratic driver. A Texas woman was shot in the head and killed in a car when her husband flipped off an erratic driver and the man fired several shots in their vehicle. Paula Liniers, 37, and her husband were driving in Hearst, a city that is part of the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area, just after 9 p.m. on Monday when she was shot. Yeah, you've got to be scared in America, aren't you? About everything. Anything you do could result in a bullet getting in your head. Remember that poor kid who got shot in the head because he knocked on the wrong door, and that girl who got shot and killed, whose friend pulled up on the wrong driveway. I mean, Jesus, America, sort yourselves out. Shut up, Harry and Meghan. Shut up, Harry and Meghan. Shut up, Harry. Very good. Wagner boss, Prigozhin, likely dead. Putin meetings may have been staged, says a retired US general. Well, he'll know, won't he? Mutinous Wagner mercenary group boss Yevgeny Prigozhin is likely either dead or jailed after his much publicised meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin after his botched rebellion was probably faked. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously he's dead. I mean, I'm surprised he's not just fallen out of a hotel window. That seems to be what happens to people who upset Putin. I mean, knocking on the wrong door is asking for it nowadays. Absolutely. Teen prankster in hot water for turning Missouri City Hall fountain into bubble bath. They're in hot water for this stunt. Police in St. Louis suburb are on the hunt for two teenage girls who turned a City Hall fountain into a foamy, bubbly mess in a prank that reportedly cost the town hundreds of dollars to fix. The teens were captured on surveillance footage pouring laundry detergent into the fountain. Yes. Now, I one of my jobs I had with Microbytes, the reason I live in Wigan is because I had a job as an area manager at Microbyte, and we had a shop in Preston, one in Manchester, and one in Liverpool. The one in Liverpool was in a shopping centre called St George's Shopping Centre. I mean, and it was the 60s, 70s shopping centre. I think it's been done up since, but it was, it was pretty nasty, and it was the early 90s, and they had a fountain at the foot of some steps. It wasn't really a fountain like that, but it was like running water, like a little waterfall into a pool. And the kids used to go to one of the pound shops or equivalents, and they'd nick a bottle of washing up liquid, run off, being chased usually, take the lid off and just lob it into the water, and then the foam that would come from it would literally cover the lower mall of the shopping centre. I mean, it wasn't necessarily deep. I mean, it was where the fountain was, and the fountain, waterfall, whatever you want to call it, water feature, had stairs going round it, going up to the upper floor. You couldn't use the stairs because they were just too slippy, and there was just too much suds everywhere, and bubbles and all that kind of thing. But the bubbles and suds kind of slowly drifted down and into shops and things on the lower mall. And I always thought it was quite funny, mainly because our shop was on the upper mall, so it didn't really affect us that much. But yeah, there was a lot of outcry about it, and then eventually the water feature was emptied of water, and they made it into a bench. They just filled it with concrete and then put wood slats on it so you could sit on it, and it was a bench. And needless to say, it never happened again. So it's nice to see that the teenagers are picking up this. So if you have a fountain anywhere nearby, got a bottle of fairy liquid, don't do anything like that because it's very naughty, and I didn't tell you to do it. I think it's in soapy water, not hot water. Yeah. Putin is dead. He's now a ghost on his train. That would be a ghost train. Ghost. An aggressive seal otter trying to steal surface boards sought by California wildlife officials. You're like, what? Yeah, we've got a sea otter who's a bit naffed off with surfers coming along into its territory with brightly coloured surfboards, so it tries to scare them off by climbing onto the surfboards and then attacking the surfers. And the line, of course, is, these surfers ought to be careful. California wildlife workers are on the hunt for a combative sea otter that's frightened surfers and even tried to steal their boards. No, it hasn't. It's got no concept of owning property. It's got no concept of stealing, owning, or anything like that, or even wanting things like that. The only thing it's interested in is possibly being summer. It'll have some children nearby, some kids, and its area and eating. So to villainise this thing is absolutely disgraceful. If anything, the surfers should leave that area to the otter. It's its natural environment, and go somewhere else where the otter isn't. The otter's areas are not vast. Just move further down the beach, for God's sake. The otter give the boards back. Oh God, more otter jokes. 6-year-old girl fights off would-be kidnapper in Miami. I bit him. Good for you. A 6-year-old girl bravely fought off a man who tried to kidnap her outside the child's Miami apartment building. The youngster, identified as Acrylic, and her siblings were playing in the courtyard of their complex when they noticed a white Range Rover parked nearby. The guy came out and picked the girl up. She fought him off, screamed and shouted. The other kids went to raise the alarm. In the meantime, she bit him, and they caught the guy because they got the registration of the Range Rover as well. So good work. Hi Deno, you made it but late. Nah, we're not an hour in yet, I don't think. We're nearly an hour in, but we're not quite an hour in. Yeah, 57 minutes in, we're alright, yeah, don't worry. Deno even. Yeah, cannibalism beats guns. 4 people, including 3 young boys, shot in Bronx Park. So it seems to be dangerous going to Bronx parks. 4 people, including 3 young boys, were injured after gunfire erupted in a Bronx park, according to a hospital and law enforcement sources. The gunshots rang inside St James's Park shortly before 6 p.m. A 3-year-old boy suffered a graze wound while a 12-year-old boy was shot in the leg. I mean, it's just awful. And like I said before, the founding fathers would not think that their little scribble on a piece of paper 200 years ago would be leading to children getting killed and shot in a park. Summer camp declares it will hide from parents the news of any kid who transitions at the camp. Camp Solomon Schneider, a Jewish summer camp in Washington state, has made headlines for allowing children to keep their gender transitioning a secret from their own parents. So guess which school camp will be shutting down soon? Because would you send your kid there? No. Russians General Armageddon, not seen since Wagner mutiny, is resting, a lawmaker says. General Sergei Skrivenky, the deputy commander of the Russians' military operations in Ukraine, who has not been seen in public since last month's failed uprising by the Wagner Group, is resting, according to a senior lawmaker. Yeah, probably like that. Don't upset Putin, particularly if you're involved in the military. Seems to be the way forward. Just raised the word problem with solution. America as a severe gun solution. Yeah, that kind of works. Man killed, 2 others hurt in overnight New York City shootings. A man was killed and 2 others hurt in a trio of shootings in the Big Apple overnight. The fatal shooting of a 26-year-old man was blasted in the chest. Have I done this one? Yeah, I've done that one. So it's the same one. Somehow I've managed to repeat that one, so I do apologise. So it's not as bad as we thought. Meanwhile, a woman shot by stray bullet thinks her inner voice saved her life. Told me to roll over, so I did. A Kansas woman believes she escaped death when the wise voice inside her head told her to turn over on the couch just before her upstairs neighbour inadvertently shot his gun into her apartment. She thinks the gunshot wound she suffered wasn't life-threatening or altering because it struck her on the side instead of straight on after she rolled over. Well, there you go then. See, who says hearing voices in your head is bad for you? Saved that woman's life, apparently. Rare 150 million year old dinosaur fossil found in Maryland Park for the first time since 1887. Does that mean they found it in 1887, then lost it, and then it's been found again? The historic find was dynamite. Scientists have discovered a trove of rare dinosaur bones dating back 115 million years at Maryland's aptly named Dinosaur Park, marking the first dinosaur bone bed found in the state since the 19th century. The historic discovery was made by paleontologists and volunteers during a dig in April, but they've only announced it now because obviously if they announce it too soon, people go and rob the bones and then sell them on eBay. So they've excavated them all and everything's hunky-dory. But yeah, it can't be though. I mean, all this is BS, isn't it? Because we all know that the planet was only made 2,000 years ago by God. So how can you have a 115 million year old anything? So it's all bunkum and fake news. Offs. These articles crack me up. Aren't guns for shooting cans? Well, they are if you're that weird YouTuber who does it in the woods. And then shoots cans as well, apparently. Now, Biden is losing his head. I mean, can you imagine anyone calling Zelensky Vladimir? Yeah, I was going to rip into Biden for this. But yeah, you're right. I did it earlier on. So, yeah, and it can happen to the best of us. It's easy done. Vladimir. I mean, you know. You say potato, I say potato. How are they digging? Are they not scared they'll break the earth? Well, that's true, actually. Yeah. God will be angry. Pilot asked 20 Canary Islands tourists to deplane as the plane was too heavy. Pilot asked 20 passengers on a flight departing from Spain's Canary Islands to deplane because it was too heavy and weather conditions were unfavourable. Because there are so many of you, it's pretty heavy aircraft we've got today, the pilot says in the video. Yeah, I think that would be one of those moments that you think of Final Destination, wouldn't you? Yeah, the weather's a bit crap. I don't want to fly with a full passenger quota because the plane would be too heavy. We've got a lot of fuel on board, a lot of luggage. Blah, so can 20 of you get off? Now, how the hell he knows how much the plane weighs, I don't know. I mean, I know they said they were going to start weighing passengers getting on planes and things like that, but I don't think EasyJet's going to be arsed with that. So yeah, it told 20 people to get off. And I'll be honest with you, if I was on that plane, I'd get off. Because that would be too Final Destination for me. But then, I'm then thinking, if that plane took off and landed safely wherever it was going, does that mean I've got off that plane and this plane I'm going to get on crashes? So it made me totally paranoid. Oi, you're making us way too much. Get off. Yeah, they probably had too much nice food in the Canaries on their holidays. Who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows. Showdown between Austin Mayor and Texas State Troopers over claims that they pulled a gun on a 10-year-old. The mayor of liberal Austin, Texas is involved in a high-stakes showdown with state troopers who he wants to kick out of the city after accusing them of pointing a loaded gun at a 10-year-old boy. Mayor Kirkwood Watson has called the Texas Department of Public Safety in to help as the city deals with a shortfall of some 400 police officers. But yeah, it's right. You're a 10-year-old kid. Yeah, we'll just get a gun and point it at you. So behave yourself. And stop stealing sweeties. But yeah, don't forget though, in Australia, that poor 90-year-old woman who got tasered and then passed away afterwards. More of that later. Top Biden officials are no-show at hearing on $200 billion COVID-19 fraud case. A House hearing on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fraud perpetrated by pandemic aid scammers was hobbled when a key Biden administration official opted to skip her appearance. She's the head of the Small Business Administration, and she turned down an invite to appear before the House of Small Business Committee, citing scheduling conflicts. So they couldn't proceed with the situation. As I've said before, we go on about the Tory government and how much money they wasted. It's insignificant compared to other countries. Hundreds of golden retrievers. This is a nice story. Hundreds of golden retrievers gather in Scotland, where the breed was created 155 years ago. Who knew that? Hundreds of golden retrievers were brought to their ancestral homeland in the Scottish Highlands this week in what was reportedly the largest and undoubtedly most adorable gathering of the breed in history. Goldens from as far away as Australia, Japan and North America, along with more local pups from across Europe and the United Kingdom, made the trip to the castle where they were bred originally. Sadly, in 6 months' time, all the golden retrievers in the world will have died, because they've all caught some weird virus from this area and give it to everyone, and then they've all gone back home, met up with other golden retrievers, and it's been like COVID for dogs. Hopefully not, but I mean, it does seem a bit weird. And how can all these dogs come from all over the world without going through quarantine? Asking for a dog lover. It's only 200 billion. Why wasn't this in our news? I don't know. One dead, 200 in shootings across New York City. No, this is a different one. A Bronx man was fatally shot in his neighbourhood and 2 people were wounded during a dispute in Brooklyn. Denzel Plummer, 28, was shot in his torso. He was pronounced dead at Lincoln Hospital. The 28-year-old victim was fatally shot in the torso. The victim, Denzel Plummer, was fatally shot. But yeah, okay, it's just repeating itself. Obviously AI. Why 155 years and not 150 years? Well, they might... Oh, COVID. No, COVID wasn't 5 years ago, was it? That was before COVID. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they thought about it and it took them 5 years to organise. Quarantine. The dogs have had to be in quarantine for 5 years. Maybe. RFK says COVID was ethnically targeted to spare the Jews. Yep. We think Donald Trump's bonkers. Democratic presidential candidate, so not just anyone, someone who wants to be president of the USA, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. dished out wild COVID-19 conspiracy theories this week during a press event at Upper East Side restaurants, claiming the bug was genetically engineered bioweapon that may have been ethnically targeted to spare Jews and Chinese people. Yeah, of course, mate. Yeah, welcome to the presidency. I mean, compared to the last two we've had, that almost makes sense. Meghan Markle, Prince Harry are focusing on future projects after Emmy snub. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are keeping it moving while the Duke and Duchess of Sussex Netflix documentary series Harry and Meghan wasn't picked up for an Emmy nomination. The exiled royals have already focusing on future projects, according to a Hollywood PR expert. There's always experts, aren't there, who have the comments on these things, who know call about anything, to be honest, but they're still an expert. I'm going to be an expert on tadpoles. I know nothing about them, but I'll figure something out. I want to say something, but I have no words. A photo of once feared Russian warlord Yevgeny Prigozhin in skivvies leaked amid apparent Putin-led smear campaign. So yeah, he's in his underpants. Well, we all wear underpants. I mean, you know. And they're calling this an unflattering photo of Yevgeny Prigozhin in his underwear was leaked online yesterday after amid an apparent campaign by Vladimir Putin's regime to smear the Wagner boss following his mercenary group's failed mutiny. The image, which emerged in Russian language chat rooms on the Telegram messaging app, shows a meat-looking waving. He's not waving. He's saying, "Don't shoot me. I'm on the toilet." I think that's what he's actually saying. yeah, I mean, that's the best you can do. Or is it just a way of keeping him alive because he's probably already dead? Eugene Prigogine. Eugene Prigogine. Eugene Prigogine. Hugo Prigogine. Are you saying I can't say the name properly? I find that very offensive. I'm offended for my offence of not saying it properly. Anyway, that's it for American news. Meanwhile, mate, g'day sport, down under. La 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 la, we're going down under. What's going on in Australia? Well, quite a bit this week, more than usual anyway. A week of global temperatures. Record week of global temperatures even. I didn't read the top bit. I'm an idiot. Reporting that last week was the highest in at least 100,000 years. I mean, how they know what happened, I'm going to throw it out there. 200 years ago. Anything before that is pure guesswork. And I'd say anything before 100 years ago is pretty much pure guesswork for worldwide knowing what the temperatures were. But anyway, go with it. The alarming new record came after the global average daily temperature climbed to 17.23 degrees on Thursday. Levels not seen in the modern record-keeping era. Well, we haven't been keeping records for 10,000 years because, as I've said before, Earth was only created 2,000 years ago, so fake news. Vaping sends 6 people to New South Wales emergency departments, all within 8 days. Of course it does. Of course it does. It's going to start killing people soon, obviously. 6 young people were taken to New South Wales emergency departments over the course of 8 days after smoking nicotine vapes, with patients experiencing symptoms including seizures, loss of consciousness and vomiting. We've also had lung collapses and things like that as well. Wait for the long-term effects, the cancers that it causes and that kind of thing, because these things are unregulated, aimed at killing them. My auntie lives in Victoria in Australia. I hope Victorian doesn't mind. Someone living in them. Local school's woke uniform sparks a scandal over jackets featuring 2 inclusive flags. A Melbourne high school is being accused of virtual signalling after introducing a puffer jacket promoting equality and inclusivity, featuring the Indigenous and Pride flag. The Indigenous flag is the Aborigines flag, so that's on one sleeve, and then the Pride flag, the full Pride flag, LBGT plus, is on the other sleeve. The Cheltenham Secondary College $90 uniform has people divided. Some community members, despite it being non-compulsory for students to wear, but it's the only puffer jacket that they have that you can buy with their logo on it. So technically it is compulsory, and I think there's a load of nonsense. I'm all for inclusivity. But yeah, absolute joke. Tealers onions to launch at Woolworths. Obviously, in the Australia, Woolworths is massive. It's equivalent to our Tesco. So they're bringing out some onions. They're called Happy Chop onions. Australia's first crop of Happy Chop Tealers onions are set to launch soon at supermarkets, and we can't wait. But don't poke yourself in the eye, woman, especially with a knife in your hand. Jeez. Egg prices could surge amid plans to fast-track crackdown on caged eggs. Cartons of eggs could be sold for up to $15 a dozen. We think we've got expensive food. Jesus Christ. I know the dollar isn't worth anywhere near as much as ours is. But yeah, $15 for a dozen eggs in Australia. The story basically is they still, even though it's like one of the biggest, one of the least populated massive land masses on the planet, they still have all their hens in side sheds. Makes no sense. So they want them to go free range, but it's not going to happen overnight. So that means that the caged hens will no longer be able to have their eggs sold in supermarkets. God knows what's happened to the hens if they're no longer worthwhile, so we'll just kill them, I suppose. It seems humane, doesn't it? Not. Then demand for the outdoor eggs, the free range eggs, will obviously shoot up, and therefore the price will shoot up, and we think we've got problems. Where are we? There we are. Talking of that poor lady, family of Claire Nowland suing New South Wales government. The family of Claire Nowland, the great-grandmother who was allegedly tasered by police, is suing the NSW government. The 95-year-old died a week after an officer allegedly tasered her at an old people's home in Cooma in May. The case is now currently listed as being brought by Newland herself. And yeah, I think tasering a 95-year-old woman because she's holding a knife and is talking a bit stupid is ridiculous. A bit like the guys who allegedly pulled a gun out on a 10-year-old, but that was in America. Sprite ditching iconic green bottles. We know it's the right thing to do. Yeah, it's like, okay then. I must admit, I always thought that the drink was orange. I was quite surprised when I poured it out once and it was clear. The story of the tasered lady is very sad indeed. Definitely, Deno. It's horrendous. More families forced to give up their pets as the cost of living pressures continue to impact Aussies, not the fur babies. New data has revealed hundreds of thousands of Aussie households have been forced to surrender their beloved pets due to a cost of living crunch. Now, I don't understand why people do that, because as we said last week, pets are part of the family. It's like giving up one of your kids. And let's be honest, they're cheaper to keep than the kids, so you're probably better off giving away your kids. That's a joke, obviously. But no, I mean, my cat at the moment won't eat pouch food. She'll only eat dry food. I assume because it might get a bit warm and a bit smelly at the moment because of the heat that we've had. Not necessarily tonight, but just generally. Whereas the crunchy food doesn't do that, so she's eating the crunchy food. And one bag of that will last her 2 weeks, and it cost me £3. Now, I don't know how much pet food is in Australia, but surely to God, giving up your pet, that's not a right thing to do. Cigarettes are able to finish, vapes don't end. It leads to nicotine overdose. Give up your expensive phones and care for pets. Yeah. Sydney's dry start to winter in over 85 years. It's the driest winter since 1938. They've had 22.2 millimetres of rain since the start of June, compared to 362.4 that fell in July last year. So 22.2, and last year they had 362.4. So yeah, very dry. No doubt there'll be panic stations going on there. But like I say, the Earth's weather's massively screwed up. We've got floods going on in the northern hemisphere. We've got droughts going on in the northern hemisphere. We've got wildfires. We've got record-breaking heats. And then where it's meant to be winter and wet and windy and cold and horrible in Sydney, it's not raining. No lights out with thunderstorms tonight. No, we're okay. We're doing well. We are doing very well with the weather. Now, the man behind the viral photo charged with attempted murder. This is the picture that divided the world when some people saw the dress as being gold and white, which is what I see, and other people saw it as being black and blue, which I didn't see, although I think there was one that had been modified for that, but for me that's just gold and white. Anyway, the man responsible for one of the most divisive viral images of the internet history has been charged with the attempted murder of his wife. Sounds horrendous, but of course it does lead us down a rabbit hole of, is this dress blue and black, or is it gold and white? Is he guilty or not guilty? So it's another whole new viral internet discussion that we're going to have. So he'll have done two in his life. I know it's a serious story, but we need to find something somewhere. Police push for powers to arrest 10-year-olds in Australia. Victorian Police Commissioner Shane Patton has called for more police powers to be installed so that officers can arrest young offenders aged between 10 and 13. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Why don't you just do that? Why don't they just give them powers to clip them around the ear hole like we used to get when we were like black and blue? You saw that as black. Does that still work? Does that still work? Do you still see that as black and blue? Because I see that as gold and white. I'm getting very confused now, because that is gold and white to me. So let's have a vote. People watching. If it's gold and white, press, if you don't want to talk, just press like. There's 8 people watching, so if that dress is gold and white to you, just press like. You can press like again and unlike. I just want to see how many people press. Black and blue. No, it's gold and white. It's gold and white. Well, I think we can arrest kids over here, age that age, because yeah, they do know what they're doing. I mean, they might not necessarily know the seriousness of what they're doing, but they're not. You know if you're doing wrong or right. Anyway, beer shortage at pubs blamed on a forklift repair. Around 300 Victorian pubs have been impacted. Delay caused by forklift maintenance means kegs from Carlton and United Breweries may not be in pubs across Victoria this weekend. Oh my God, no. No, it's gold and white. It's 100% gold and white. It's 100% gold and white. I'm actually gonna. Oh God's sake! I'm gonna put my camera up and see what it comes up on my camera. No, it's still gold and white. There's no black on that dress at all, and there's no blue on that dress at all. It's white and gold. There might be a hint of blue on the bit that's white. Oh my God. Oh, I feel like I've gone down a rabbit hole of 5 years ago. No, I see, that's gold and white, 100% gold and white. And I'm expecting people to have clicked like. Yeah, there we go. 2 people have clicked like out of 8, which means I make it 9. So a third of us see that as white and gold, as opposed to blue and black. If you don't like this anymore, you can unlike. You can click like again, so it it doesn't show up as a like. That's up to you. According to Wiki, it's black and blue. It's black and blue. It's blue and black or gold. What? It's gold and white. I mean, there's no argument here. It is gold and white. Blue is the colour of the box with the writing in it. That's blue. And black is the bit at the bottom where the white writing is. That's the only thing that's blue and black on this. I saw gold and white, then it changed to black and blue. What? Jesus. Head's gone. Mine's going the same way, mate. Mine's going absolutely the same way. If you're listening to this on podcast, you're going to have to watch this clip a bit on the... just make a note of where you are in the timeline, and then just find it. I see pink. Right, okay then. Right, if you see it as black and blue, click like. I'm not doing this to get likes. It's the only way we can interact. So if you see that as black and blue, click like, because a lot of you don't want to talk, and I get that, you don't want to talk. I can't see who clicks like, so I can't say your names or anything like that, so you can do it anonymously. Or you can do one of them things where you get the little things going up at the side. I don't know what they are in the chat room. It's not blue and black, Angela, it's not blue and black, it's white and gold, for God's sake. It's white and gold. I'm doing a poll, but likes have gone up by 1, so one person thinks it's black and blue. Oh my God, I'm going bold. I knew that anyway. White and gold. Yeah, Smiley Mac, white and gold, thank you. So I'm pulling my hair out. 5. No, someone else has liked it because it's black and blue. No, it's not black and blue. It's not black and blue. I swear, it's not. Can you imagine if I'd been doing this when this went viral? I literally could have had just me on that picture, me saying it's white and gold, and people coming on telling me I'm wrong. Blue and black. No, Kim, welcome by the way, but no, Kim, please. It's, anyway, let's move on. I could be here all night. I thought you lot were sensible. I didn't do white and gold for likes first. Mum says gold and white. There you go. If Deno Mum says gold and white, it's gold and white, and we're not arguing with Deno's mum. Trust me, I met her. You don't want to argue with her. I mean, it's such a tragic story as well, but yeah, created quite a bit of merriment. But people don't want to necessarily come in the chat room and reveal their identity. That's why I was using the like thing. We'll leave it there for now. We may come back to it again at some point in the future. We're not coming back to it anytime in the future. Anyway, brings us, to be fair, to the finally. Because I don't know what's going on anymore. I said last week I joined Threads, which is like the new Twitter, and it was an interesting experience, mainly because I actually look at it now more than I do Twitter. In fact, there was one time when I went on Twitter when I was in bed, have a quick look at Twitter before I go to sleep, and it said that it tells you the last thing you looked at and how long ago it was posted, and it was a day. Do a poll on your community page. Oh God. It'll kick off. Anyway, the guy who plays Keith Lemon, he did a thread, and it basically said, Lee Francis he's called, it just said, hello, just joined, not sure who's on here that I know yet. So we're like, okay. So I replied, I'm on, but I don't know you and doubt you know me. But hey, how's it going? And he's replied back, hey, it's going well, thanks. So it's like, yay, I've had a celebrity. That's it. That's the end of it. That was it. But it's absolutely brilliant. Little bit of interaction on the new Threads, which is Games and More. Games and More, all one word. So the Dutch supermarket, this is genius as well, has announced or introduced slow checkouts for lonely elderly people who want someone to talk to. The move has proven so successful that they've installed the checkouts in 200 stores. They've also added a chat corner where locals could meet for a cup of coffee and a chat, and I think that's brilliant, because I get quite a few elderly people who come into my shop, and you know they live on their own. I mean, I live on my own, but I don't need company because I get it all during the day at work, so it's nice to come here and just have the cat to talk to. So I don't have people around or anything like that. But it's, you know, if you're in your 70s, 80s or older, and you don't have the internet, all you have is the TV and nothing else, and the only time you speak to someone is when you go to a shop. I must admit, I did feel it a little bit during lockdown, and I did feel the need to go to a till with an operator on it rather than the self-serve checkouts, because I'd literally not spoken to anyone, and even if it was just how's it going, dreadful what's going on at the minute, the queue's not so bad outside today, I've only been in the queue for half an hour. Remember we had to queue up to go into supermarkets. So yeah, I kind of know where they're coming from, and I think it's a brilliant idea. And then having a little area for them where they can all have a little chat and catch up on things. Hey, I'm one of them. The elderly and anyone that needs a chat is so lonely. That's so sweet. I'd be there for them who need. Yeah, exactly. I think it's really, really nice, and that's why I mentioned it, because I think that should be something that should be brought over here. I think it's such a cool idea. And if you say it's, you advertise it as a slow checkout, then people can't moan, because people often are tutting and, oh, for God's sake, when you're in the queue, because the little old lady's having a chat to the woman because it's the only person she spoke to in 4 days, and people get so irate. So if you have a till that is specifically for lonely people, and they have a friendly checkout operator who's prepared to chat to anyone about anything, while they're doing the stuff. I think that's a brilliant idea. We're going to have something like that. Oh wait, no, it's just a demolition site. It's very good, smiley. But no, I think that's a genius idea. Now, I've always said, and last week we had proof positive that the abominable snowman, Yeti, whatever you want to call them, exists because of that fabulous photograph of a family watching a bloke's family on the beach or wherever it was. I don't know, I don't care, because it was absolute shite. Well, we've got absolute proof, and why this has not been reported as headline news on national news, I've no idea, but absolute proof. I used to work in a bookies, and so many elderly were my friends. I was a listening ear and genuinely cared. Yeah, I mean, in my shop, I will chat to people for ages, and it's not just old people. Young people as well can be lonely, and they come in and we just chat about anything. You know, we can have a laugh. We can chat about serious stuff. We can chat about rude stuff. It doesn't really matter. I'll chat about anything, me. But I often feel that, you know, people feel like they've had something, and I'm a good listener apparently. I get a lot of people telling me their life stories. After about 30 seconds of meeting them, I was like, I must have this face where it says, "Tell me everything. Tell me everything. I want to know everything about you. I want to know everything." That's probably the big nose. I think I'm just nosy. But no, I think it's nice, and I've even said to the centre manager that, you know, it's not just the shop isn't just about selling stuff. It's about a little community that builds up, and people make friendships in there as well. People with similar interests, be it movies, gaming, retro gaming, comics, things like that, and they start meeting up. They may go for a coffee. I'm not saying any kind of I don't need to buy a hat for a wedding or anything daft like that. I mean, more companionship and things like that, and I think it's great. You've listened to me a lot. That's been appreciated. A chat is always good. Yeah, Annie, it is. Yeah, Deno. Yeah, I don't listen. I just pretend I'm listening. I don't care. I'm joking. Anyway, back to the absolute proof. Convincing proof. Decades of work. The Loch Ness Monster exists because there it is. Loch Ness Monster Hunter wins the lottery after capturing creature on video. Imran Ulfalgan caught a brilliant footage of a dark shadow seeming to chase a boat, and he claimed it could only be the mythical creature, the Loch Ness Monster. And, well, I'm convinced. I don't know about you, but the Loch Ness Monster is... my hubby protests in Asda about the checkout self-scan. He hates them. He says that people on tills should be brought back. To be fair, I actually prefer I actually choose the self scans over the tills with people on, because I'm antisocial. No, it's just yeah, it was a bit to do with COVID. Even though if I felt a bit down, I'd go and have a chat with them. Like I say, just about the queue outside or anything like that. But if I was feeling alright, I'd just go to self checkout because less people are touching my stuff, and I don't know. Because they don't always, they didn't always use the gel between customers, which they should have done. To be fair, I did. Still do, to be fair. Mind you, I did before COVID. I'm just a germaphobe. Although if you look at my kitchen, you've seen my cooking videos. You're not really germaphobe. Anyway, I digress. The myth is solved. I'm sold on that picture. Angela, come on. Although to be fair, you did say that dress was blue and black, so, I mean, your credibility is out the window. Well, that isn't a floating stick on the loch. No. Monster appears after a 5th shot. What? 5th Guinness. I'll look at this again. But no, I'm convinced. I think that is as convincing as the picture of the family watching the watching the family. I don't know. It does. There's a picture there. Look, there's a picture there. Well, to be fair, it might be there. In fact, I think it's there. The picture is there. There is a picture. You can never say that Nessie doesn't exist. Because there's a picture there of Nessie, and that is convincing me that Nessie is there. And anyone who says otherwise is a conspiracy theorist doubter. A Bigfoot in the forest at the back too. Oh, now. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, there he is. Yeah, Bigfoot. Oh, absolute nonsense people come up with, really. Silence would agree. Silence a cat. She's got no concept of images. I even let her look at herself on my camera, and there's no reaction whatsoever. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. She doesn't get angry. She doesn't get confused. She doesn't look away. She doesn't look around. She doesn't claw it. She just, and then carries on doing whatever she was doing. So yeah, I'm bringing in silence as a witness. I'm afraid no, it's not happening. England still suffering hundreds of COVID deaths per week as total nears 200,000. The grim death toll of those with coronavirus on the death certificates from England is about to hit the horrific milestone of 200,000 as weekly deaths are still hitting several hundreds. Well, they will do, because it's still there. It's just not reported as much. If there was a monster, then I would go to a court of human rights and have a clause that no one can touch it and it has to be left alone. Well, to be fair, it's doing that itself. I don't think anyone's claimed they've touched it anytime soon. Even a 20-year-old regarding some BBC employees said he's never touched it. Too soon. But yeah, it's hidden very well for years, hasn't it? Locals draw penises around potholes, blighting UK streets in a message to council. Fella-shaped drawings appeared around a number of potholes in Devon, as a witness said that they thought the mysterious vandal behind them was fed up. But yeah, he is. Nessie is a money-making racket. Well, yeah, obviously. Weirdly, I saw that a couple of days ago and thought, oh, we've got potholes outside our house. Yeah, the council have been around and filled them in. Swines. I was going to get my can of spray paint and everything. NASA's silent supersonic jet attempting to break speed of sound is nearly ready. The X-59 NASA Quest jet is being rolled out next year in an experimental basis with the hopes of bringing supersonic commercial flight back to the masses in the distant future. To be fair, that's the only image we've got of it. The only thing I can think of is Concorde. I mean, it's hardly groundbreaking, is it? New cases of killer virus multiplying across Europe, highly likely to reach the UK. Yeah, because we don't close our borders in time if there's something that's killing people. We know that. An urgent health warning has been issued for what has been described as the current biggest threat to public health, as new cases of CCHF have been reported in Europe, with fears it could hit the UK. Hit the UK. I wouldn't have drawn phalluses. I'd have drawn something more amusing, like Watch Wigan Watch, something like that. I'm sure my daughter's doll is possessed like Chucky. My life is a nightmare. I think someone needs to get out more. Christine Hawksworth, 5-year-old daughter, appears to have struck up a relationship with the creepy Chucky-like doll, Normad, and claims she can talk to it. Of course she can, because she's 5. 5-year-olds have imaginary friends. This is not disturbing or worrying. However, the next story is, those of you with a nervous disposition and don't like to look at robots having a stroke, and I don't mean anything to do with BBC presenters, look away now. So if you don't want to see a robot having a stroke, then please look away now. Concorde was retired not due to accidents, but because the USA was jealous and didn't want him flying over there. Fair enough. A creepy AI-powered robot looks like it has had a nervous breakdown in an interview. Twitter users have been left freaked out. Oh, they're only left after watching an interview with an AI-powered healthcare robot called Grace that apparently looked like she was going to have a nervous breakdown. To me, it looks like she's having a stroke. and not of a BBC presenter. A completely different image now. Now, you know I'm into Formula 1, my favourite sport, and I like, to be fair, I think all the current drivers coming into it are brilliant. They've all got personalities, they all get on, they're all take the mickey out of each other and everything, and they're all pretty good racers as well. Made up for Lando Norris last week, getting second place, absolutely stunning. Gutted for his teammate, yeah, the unforgettable one, Oscar Pastrami, who, because of the safety car, ended up in 4th place and not 3rd place. But either way, good showing for McLaren, which is good to see. But yeah, it was a surprise for everyone, including George Russell. Now, if you don't know George Russell, he's very typically British, very posh British. He has a very posh voice, and he has the longish face and all that kind of stuff. But he's got almost David Beckham type voice. It's quite, I wouldn't say it was high pitched, but it's certainly not a low. It's not like, yeah, oh yeah, it was a good race, whatever it is. It's more like, yeah, well, it was, it was a really good race and all that kind of stuff. So, and when he's surprised, it goes a little bit higher. And the interviewer was asking him what he thought of the McLaren pace in the race, and he was genuinely surprised. Hamilton is my. Oh, hang on a minute. Just excuse me a second. There we go. There we go. I found that offensive. The interviewer was asking him, what did you think of the pace of the McLarens? And he was like, I was genuinely surprised. It was like, really surprised, but a bit high pitched. And someone as geniusly, I can't show you the video, but I can show you a still from it, and if you look it up, you'll find it, and it is hilarious. It's basically is George Russell. If George Russell wore a hat and dressed up when they do the Texan thing, that's exactly what he would look like. But the mouth opens and everything, and he only opens his mouth a little way as well, which is what this does. I don't know whether it's a filter or someone's just filmed it on the TV or whatever, but it is genius. It's absolute genius. I couldn't stop laughing. I had to watch it about 5 times. And then the last image for tonight is a true image as well, sadly. This is what's going on around the world. Lots of people in boats. This is a Banksy artwork, and this was from Dismaland, where he did basically a depressing Disneyland spoof. But I think that image, even though it's quite an old image, they posted it recently, is a stunning image. The White Cliffs of Dover in the background, and all the migrants on the boat. Because there's more than one, there's actually 3 boats there. That's not one big boat, that's 2 little boats. Anyway, that is it. But of course, I will now have a quick look and see, I know there is, if there's any breaking news. Dum 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 dum. Here is the news. Breaking news. News that is breaking. We've got breaking news. John Nettleton has died. He was in Yes Minister. Radio legend Tony Butler has died as well. And the star of an iconic TV ad and face of leading brand has died as well. So, not good. Formula E red flag, Rome after a major crash. A huge multi-car crash at Formula E. I must admit, Formula E is very boring. Jack the Ripper's identity revealed. Yeah, I don't think so. Goodwill Festival of Speed crowds told to stay away after cancellation of Saturday's event due to the weather. The one show axed in BBC schedule shake-up with huge flagship shows cut. Alright, okay then. I never watch the one show anymore. Ukraine-Russian war latest, counter-offensive. Italy no longer has 4 seasons, according to Sky. Britain on lockdown alert as new killer virus which kills 40% of its victims. Oh, this is this is what we were talking about before. It's starting to reach the UK, and this was posted 8 hours ago. So we could be heading back to a lockdown. Accidental death of Rolling Stones guitarist called into question by witness statements. That was the original one. Canary Islands in flames as hundreds evacuated from resort, but not by EasyJet, as we found out recently. And Sebastian Vettel weighs in on Red Bull's brutal sacking of Nick de Vries. Now, to be honest, Red Bull are famous for sacking people mid-season without any warning, so it's not exactly shocking. If you didn't know, Nick de Vries raced for AlphaTauri, which is the sister team to Red Bull, and has basically been sacked and replaced by the Honey Badger. ITV scraps popular documentary show after 8 years on air. Oh, it's the airport one, don't really care. Britain says, according to GB News, Britain is set to bask in blistering 9-week heatwave with the blazing hot sunshine until late September. Oh, I hope so. I really love it when it's so hot. Yeah, 2 of the drivers are saying that we should be racing in Rome with that circuit. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. I don't care about them. Teenagers stabbed to death in street after birthday party 7 hours ago. Netanyahu taken to hospital after suffering chest pains. He's the leader of the Israeli government. I think that's it. I think that is it. Oh, this is, how about non-news? UK's youngest lottery winner blew jackpot and now spotted shopping at Iceland. What? Anyway, that was fun going to pictures. I can't wait for the cinema in the town centre. I love going to it never. Yes. There's more to it than that. Apparently, I don't know if it's a joke or not, but apparently there's a zip wire in there as well, because, you know, that's what we need. Anyway, going to say a big shout out to everyone who's contributed in the chat room, as I always do. How many people got watching? We've got 8 people watching at the moment, so hopefully you're one of these people. So Smiley Mac first in, Luke Williams second in. Big shout out to Any third in, Angela O'Kane. Joined us as well. Who else have we had? Artemis 78 was in for a while. Deno and his mum as well. Hope you're both good. Kim. I'm getting these weird cracker things coming out. I don't know what that is. It frightens me a little bit. Artemis, oh, he was still in. Well, they were still in. We're up to fairly recently. Even if I was a lottery winner, I'd shop cheap where I could. Yeah, of course. Anyway, yes, thank you very much for everything. And all being well, we'll see you again next time. Don't forget, we are doing this roughly every Saturday. You can join in the chat and put your opinion across. If you're listening on the podcast, which I still haven't put up for about 3 months now, then please feel free to join us on the live broadcast as well, and you can get your 2 penneth in. I'm going to an auction shop in Wigan next week, but I can't remember the name of it. I don't know. There's cars and stuff in it. No idea. But yeah, it's been fun and a decent chat as well. Let's have a look at the stats, shall we? Do the stats as well. We've had 41 views, average is 13.49. We've had a few times where we've been in double figures with continuous viewers. We've had 5 likes, although to be fair, I think that was slightly exaggerated due to the dress thing, which we will leave you with, I think, actually, because I like to leave you with a picture. So we'll leave you with this this white and gold dress. It's a terrible story, as in sad, but we will leave you with this this dress. There you go. So it's the white and gold dress, which is white and gold. Anyone says otherwise is wrong. And oh, Paul 1872, welcome. Yep, we're off ski. We're off ski. Starts at 8. It's 10 o'clock now. 10 o'clock now. Gotta get another Guinness. We'll make you NPR mayor soon. Blue and gold, blue and black, blue. It's not blue, it's gold and white. Let's make it a bit bigger, just so we don't have to look at him. And move that up as well. There we go. There you go. Oh, so it says murder. There's been a murder. But there wasn't, thankfully. Oh, he's still there. Go away. I'm trying to get rid of you. There you go. So that is white and gold. It is white and gold. It's white and gold. It's not blue. It's not blue. It's not blue. It's white and gold. It's white and gold. Put it on community page as a poll. It's not white and gold. It's not white and gold. You got me saying it's not white and gold now. It is white and gold. No! That's it. I'm off. Oh, there we are. There's a minimum. Target. There's been a murder. Blue and gold. See, you're the odd one out, Angela. Everyone's saying black and gold. Black and blue. There's been a murder. Target. Everyone's. It's all gone a bit silly now, hasn't it? But we need that. The news has been a bit depressing this week. As it always is, to be fair, because it's news. What can you do? Anyway, that is it. Thank you very much for watching. And I will see you all again next time. So thank you very much for watching. And yeah, take care. Look after yourselves. And be seeing you. Bye. Who's gone? I think they've gone. Yeah.